Everyone said adopting two 150-pound giants was a mistake. But when Evelyn walked into that shelter at 3 a.m., she found a secret they'd been hiding, a miracle that would soon change her entire world. Evelyn lived in a house that felt more like a tomb. After her beloved dog passed, the silence was a heavy shroud wrapping around her soul. She spent months paralyzed by fear, whispering to empty corners, "I can't do it again, I can't lose another heart." But the void was a hunger that finally drove her to the local shelter. She walked past restless Rottweilers, her heart searching for something she couldn't name. Then she saw them. Behind the cold, rusted metal bars of two separate cages, two massive Neapolitan Mastiffs were desperately stretching their necks, licking each other's faces through the wire. They were Titan and Gaia, enormous souls with skin like velvet and eyes like deep, sorrowful oceans. The worker warned her these 150-pound powerhouses were from a commercial breeding farm and were considered too difficult because they refused to be separated. They were a living fortress of loyalty that the law required to be caged apart. Evelyn felt a physical ache seeing Gaia's ribcage heave with every sigh, and Titan's protective growl soften into a whimper the moment he saw his queen. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, I have to say I'm a little heartbroken. Stories like this need your support. Hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. Now back to what happened next. Evelyn didn't see dangerous beasts. She saw a love story written in scars. Against every warning, she signed the papers for both. She spent days in a fever of preparation, buying massive beds like clouds and mountains of premium food. She was ready to turn her tomb back into a home, but she had no idea the universe was about to double the stakes. Her heart hammered against her ribs as the pickup day arrived. She was walking into a situation that no amount of preparation could have handled. The silence of the house was about to be replaced by something primal, something magical, and something that would require every ounce of strength she possessed to protect the legacy of these two broken giants who had found their way into her broken life. The day of the pickup arrived and Evelyn's adrenaline was surging. But when she stepped into the shelter, the atmosphere had shifted. The usual chaotic barking was replaced by an eerie, heavy silence. There was no one at the front desk. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. Suddenly, a worker rushed out, her face pale, and grabbed Evelyn's arm. "Please, come quickly," the woman whispered, pulling her toward the back. Evelyn's heart hammered like a trapped bird. Had Titan attacked someone? Was Gaia sick? They reached a private enclosure and Evelyn froze. Reality glitched. There, on the floor, was Gaia, looking like a queen, and surrounding her massive body were tiny, squirming miracles. Gaia had been pregnant, a secret hidden beneath her massive frame and shelter stress. "We are so sorry," the worker stammered. "We missed it in the chaos." Evelyn's jaw dropped, her mind unable to process the sight of these tiny lives pulsing with energy. She had walked in for two dogs and walked out as the matriarch of an entire dynasty. The realization hit her like a freight train. She wasn't just saving a pair, she was protecting a future. As she loaded the exhausted mother and her delicate cargo, Titan watched with a vigilance that felt like a physical shield. His massive head moved like a mountain, guarding the entrance to the van with a silent promise of violence to anyone who dared approach his family. The journey home was a blur of tears. Every bump in the road felt like a threat to the fragile lives in the back, but Gaia remained calm, her eyes locked on Evelyn's with a trust that was absolute. Something ancient had clicked into place.
The bond wasn't just about rescue anymore, it was about survival and a destiny that had been forged in the dark corners of a breeding farm, only to bloom in the light of a woman's compassion. This was the turning point where fear died and a new, fierce purpose was born in Evelyn's soul.
Evelyn settled the family into the massive bed. She watched Gaia, the gentle giant, nursing her pups with a tenderness that defied her intimidating size. Gaia's massive head rested on the pillow, eyes locked onto Evelyn's with soul-piercing gratitude. Evelyn reached out, her fingers disappearing into Gaia's fur, and whispered, "Your motherhood is as heavy and magnificent as your stature." She kissed the giant's forehead, the smell of warm fur filling her senses. News of the Mastiff miracle spread through the neighborhood. Neighbors who once crossed the street in fear began to knock on her door. They didn't see monsters anymore. They saw a family. Evelyn made a decision to weave Gaia and Titan's legacy into the community. She promised every puppy would be adopted by a family on their street. Every pup would have its own home, but they would all grow up together, playing in the same parks. Titan and Gaia would never be alone, and their children would never know shelter bars. As she watched the pups take wobbly steps, Evelyn realized her heart had finally healed. The void was gone, replaced by a symphony of wagging tails and the rhythmic breathing of giants who saved her just as much as she saved them. They were a pack, a neighborhood, a family, and a living testament that love knows no size. The giants were no longer the scary breed from the breeding farm. They were the guardians of the block, the silent sentinels of a street that had learned to look past the scars and see the heart within. Every morning, Evelyn wakes up not to silence, but to the soft grunts of a nursing mother and the protective presence of Titan by the door. Her house is no longer a tomb. It is a sanctuary where miracles are ordinary and love is the only rule that matters. In the end, we don't just rescue them. They rescue the pieces of us we thought were lost forever. True love doesn't look with the eyes, but with the soul, proving that even the most scarred hearts can bloom again when they finally find where they belong. What would you name these incredible puppies? Drop your ideas in the comments.